Chapter 59 How those who see the divine substance may see all things. Since the vision of the divine substance is the ultimate end of every intellectual substance, as is evident from what we have said, and since the natural appetite of everything comes to rest when the thing reaches its ultimate end, the natural appetite of an intellectual substance must come to rest completely when it sees the divine substance. Now, the natural appetite of the intellect is to know the genera and species and powers of all things, and the whole order of the universe. Human investigation of each of the aforementioned items indicates this. Therefore, each one who sees the divine substance knows all the things mentioned above. Again, the intellect and the senses differ on this point, as is clear from Book 3 of On the Soul. The power to sense is destroyed, or weakened, by the more striking sense objects, so that later it is unable to perceive weaker objects, but the intellect, not being corrupted or hindered by its object but only perfected, after understanding a greater object of the intellect, is not less able to understand other intelligibles but more able. Now, the highest object in the genus of intelligible objects is the divine substance. So, the intellect which is elevated by divine light in order to see God's substance is much more perfected by this same light, so that it may understand all other objects which exist in the nature of things. Besides, intelligible being is not of lesser scope than natural being, but perhaps it is more extensive. Indeed, intellect is from its origin capable of understanding all things existing in reality, and it also understands things that have no natural being, such as negations and privations. So, whatever things are needed for the perfection of natural being are also needed for the perfection of intelligible being, and even more. But the perfection of intelligible being is present when the intellect reaches its ultimate end, just as the perfection of natural being consists in the very establishment of things in actual being. Therefore, God shows the intellect that is seeing him all the things which he has produced for the perfection of the universe. Moreover, although one of the intellects seeing God may see him more perfectly than another, as we have shown, each one sees him so perfectly that its whole natural capacity is fulfilled. Or, rather, this vision exceeds all natural capacity, as we have shown. So, each one seeing the divine substance knows in this divine substance all the things to which its natural capacity extends. But the natural capacity of every intellect extends to the knowing of all genera and species and orders of things. Therefore, each one who sees God will know these things in the divine substance. Hence it is that the Lord replies to Moses, when he asks for the vision of the divine substance, "I will show thee all good." And Gregory says, "What do they not know, who know him who knows all things?" Moreover, if the foregoing statements are carefully considered, it becomes clear that, in a way, those who see the divine substance do see all things, whereas, in another way, they do not. Indeed, if the word all means whatever things pertain to the perfection of the universe, it is obvious from what has been said that those who see the divine substance do see all things, as the arguments that have just been advanced show. For, since the intellect is in some way all things, whatever things belong to the perfection of nature belong also in their entirety to the perfection of intelligible being. For this reason, according to Augustine's literal commentary on Genesis, whatever things have been made by the word of God to subsist in their proper nature have also come to be in the angelic understanding, so that they might be understood by the angels. Now, within the perfection of natural being belong the nature of species and their properties and powers, for the inclination of nature is drawn to the natures of species, since individuals are for the sake of the species. So, it is pertinent to the perfection of intellectual substance to know the natures of all species and their powers and proper accidents. Therefore, this will be obtained in the final beatitude through the vision of the divine essence. Moreover, through the cognition of natural species the individuals existing under these species are known by the intellect that sees God, as can be made evident from what has been said above on the knowledge appropriate to God and the angels. However, if the term all means all the things that God knows in seeing his own essence, then no created intellect sees all things in God's substance, as we have showed above. But this can be considered under several points. First, in regard to those things which God can make but has not made, nor will ever make. Indeed, all things of this kind cannot be known unless his power is comprehended, and this is not possible for any intellectual creature, as we showed above. Hence, The statement in Job 11, "Do you think you can understand the steps of God, and find out the Almighty perfectly? He is higher than heaven, and what will you do? He is deeper than hell, and how will you know? His measure is longer than the earth, and broader than the sea." Indeed, these things are not said as though God were great in quantitative dimensions, but because his power is not limited to all things which are seen to be great, for, on the contrary, he can make even greater things. Secondly, let us consider it in regard to the reasons for the things that have been made. The intellect cannot know all of these unless it comprehend the divine goodness. For, the reason for everything that has been made is derived from the end which its maker intended. But the end of all things made by God is divine goodness. Therefore, the reason for the things that have been made is so that the divine goodness might be diffused among things. And so, one would know all the reasons for things created if he knew all the goods which could come about in created things in accord with the order of divine wisdom. This would be to comprehend divine goodness and wisdom, something no created intellect can do. Hence it is said, "I understand that man can find no reason of all those works of God." Thirdly, we may consider the point in regard to those things which depend on the will of God alone, for instance, predestination, election, justification, and other similar things which pertain to the sanctification of the creature. On this matter, it is said, "No man knows the things of a man, but the Spirit of man that is in him. So the things also that are of God, no man knows, but the Spirit of God."